Heart of Deimos is finally in full swing, and with Heart of Deimos we got a couple of very interesting weapons. And today, my friends, we're going to be diving deeper into the Zymos, a mastery rank 11 secondary weapon. As per the usual, I'm going to have a cheap build, something affordable that most players will be able to build. But of course, we also do not have an endgame setup with a Riven, because basically Rivens for this one currently are not really all that worth it, this position being set at only 0.5, but we will still showcase what the weapon's capabilities are. That said though, I like to take my time and explain a lot of the aspects that veteran players should already be accustomed to. So, in case you're a vet, and you already know most of this stuff, please, bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Zymos. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, just a couple of free shots. The Zymos is an infested secondary weapon that you get by playing the Heart of Deimos expansion or content in Warframe. And don't worry about it, it's not that hard to get. You gotta go down to Deimos and talk to Father. You're only gonna need a little bit of Entrati standing to get this one. It fires a projectile-based attack, and upon contact, what do you know, it goes splat and makes a little bit of AoE damage. Nothing that we haven't seen before. By the way, the range on the explosion is 3.3 meters. But it does have one additional trick up its sleeve. If you go for a headshot, if you do manage to get a headshot with a projectile, oh my god, what exactly just happened there? Essentially, the spores burrow into your target, dealing damage over time, then it explodes, launching additional spores which look for enemies to deal damage to. Take a look. And there's the spores, they kind of fly up into the air a little bit. Even with bright energy, they still have this black trail. Look, there you go. Something like that. So yes, ideally, you would want to use this to your advantage and deal the maximum amount of damage that you can. The problem is twofold. First of all, the usability of the weapon. You don't have a whole lot of fire rate. The magazine is awfully small at only 9. And also the reload, 3.2 seconds with an ammo capacity of 27.9 total. That is 36. That's not a whole lot of bullets, unfortunately. Another issue is how a target reacts after it's being hit by these projectiles. Headshot, of course. You see that? It goes into that whole, oh my god, no, there's aliens burrowing in my head, help me mama. So that would make it very difficult for you to get consistent headshots on a target. I mean like 2 or 3 or something like that. Unless of course you use something like a CC frame. You can use Harrow, Frost, whatever you desire. Now, one more thing that you should note, if you're going for a headshot, and as soon as the projectile hits the target, you see the cloud, you know you missed the headshot, alright? So bear that one in mind. Of course, you can't give up on this mechanic and just go for console shots and shoot for the feet. You know what? There's no shame in that, so you can use the weapon like so. Now let's have a closer look at stats. Mod capacity 60 out of 60, and if your Zymos comes with only 30 out of 30, jump into actions, plug in the Auto King Catalyst, doubling your mod capacity. Now this is a necessary step to maxing out any weapon in Warframe, unless they already come with a catalyst installed, but those are very, very rare cases. You can pay 20 plat to have one installed, you can grind one from Nightwave, you can get a blueprint from the Daily Sortie, and some events in Warframe also offer these catalysts as a possible or guaranteed reward. My weapon has been format a total of 3 times. This is not a forma heavy weapon. By default it comes with 1 V or Madurai and 1 Naramon or the dash. So maximum of 3 forma. If you got a Riven for it, maybe go to 4. I would also unlock the weapons Excels mod slot. It comes with a dash, unfortunately. What you want to use, of course, is going to be lethal momentum. Projectile flight speed. Of course, this will make it easier to land those headshots. This is what I would plug into this one. You can also go with pistol ammo, mutation, or whatever else, but from my point of view, this would be best in slot. The accuracy of the weapon, 9.8. Now, on paper, it doesn't look fantastic. Definitely not, but as you saw there, it is pinpoint accurate. The question is, what happens when you go Magnum Force with multi-shot? The initial projectile fired out of the weapon is fine, it's straight as an arrow, but the resulting projectiles from multi-shot go completely off the crosshairs. Allow me to show you how this one would work. The usual 50-meter test. As you can see, again, the initial projectile is straight, but the multi-shot resulting, not so much. From my humble point of view, if you plan to use the headshot thing, I would not use Magnum Force. But if you don't plan to use it and you just want to shoot for the feet, then sure, go for Magnum Force. As always, the option is yours. Critical chance, 5%. Why only 5% with a 2.3x critical multiplier? So the multiplier is above average. awesome, but the base critical chance is simply too low. If you were to go with Prime Pistol Gamba, nah, only goes up by 9.4%. Honestly, it's simply not worth it. Unless what you can do, go Prime Target Cracker, get the 4.8x critical multiplier, and use bonus critical chance additive after effects such as Harrow or Kitty buffs or Avenger. So there you go, you do have a couple of options, but those are already Warframe buffs, outside buffs. Fire rate 1.33 is bad. Magazine of 9 with a reload of 3.2. Honestly, I don't get why they had to gimp this weapon this badly, because it's a good weapon, don't get me wrong, but it's not fantastic. It's not top 10 material, spoiler alert. Riven Disposition, of course, a brand new weapon, so it's gonna be 1 out of 5. Rivens are not worth getting for this weapon currently. Honestly, they're few and far between, and in order for you to get a Riven, which would be worth putting on the weapon, you're gonna have to get a really good roll. I'm talking about damage, multi-shot with a harmless negative. But I got a feeling that Riven Disposition will be going up for this weapon in a couple of months, so be patient. That would be my advice to you. Status chance 30%, which is awesome, and the damage on the weapon is going to be impact and puncture, but keep in mind this is the projectile physically hitting the target. So that's about 30% of the weapon's damage. The rest, the 61, that's toxin damage, that's the explosion. And the fall off is 30% with a 3.3 meter range, which is pretty solid. Now, let's have a look at the standard build, shall we? And you got damage with Hornet Strike, multi-shot with Barrel Diffusion, as well as Lethal Torrent. Now, Lethal Torrent adds 60% multi-shot, and you want as much multi-shot on this weapon as humanly possible. But if you think it's a waste, honestly, it's not. Mathematically speaking, it's not a waste. You can forget about Lethal Torrent. We got free 60-60 mods, Pistol Pestilence, plus Frostbite equals viral damage, of course, and we also got Scorch. So right now on the weapon, essentially, we got Viral Heat, which is fantastic. Practically the most powerful elemental combo that you can get. We're not talking about Slash though, more on Slash later. A bit of extra damage with Augur Pack. Normally this mod doesn't really find its way onto my builds, but it is an option slot, so if you want to plug in something else, perhaps one of the brand new mods, perhaps you want to go with Juggle this one. Hey, 60% status chance and 90% puncture. And you might think, fantastic, one of the brand new mods is excellent for this weapon, right? Well, no, not really. Essentially, if you're increasing the puncture on the weapon, basically it only adds to this damage, to the projectile physically hitting the target. So it's not that huge of a damage boost. Also, you're messing with the proc priority, which you really don't want to do. What do you want to proc more? Puncture, heat, or viral? It's really up to you. But in any case, it does not apply to the radial attack. You cannot go for the 90-60 slash mod, because if the weapon does not have that specific IPS on it, then it will not be added to the weapon like it is with the 60-60 elemental mods. Alright, so basically the 90-60 mods are... It'll be useful on other builds, trust me, but this is simply not one of them. And the last mod is going to be Sure Shot. Now this one, 90% status chance. It received a massive buff at the start of 2020 with the mainline update, so it's no longer underpowered. Essentially, this is the weapon, my friends. You gotta play to its strength. It doesn't have any crit by itself, so you go status chance 111% status chance. So going over 100% status chance, in case you didn't know by now, is kinda like going over 100% critical chance, in the sense that you got all your projectiles which land on the target will apply a guaranteed status effect, and you also have an 11% chance at another status effect. Which status effect exactly depends on your priority, so there you go. So let's test out the weapon and see how she performs. Level 120, Corrupted Heavy Goons as per the usual. Now, because the weapon doesn't have any slash whatsoever, Ash's passive does not affect the test results. Alright guys? Okay, good. We're gonna go straight for headshots. We're gonna try to get more. Look at this. Can you hear that? Listen to this. Just listen. Ew, so gross. I know, right? But again, this is kind of the damage you can expect out of the weapon. Is it fantastic? No, definitely not. Is it an endgame weapon? I still have... I'm failing to understand what the endgame is in Warframe is. If it's fashion frame, then definitely it's quite icky. But you can also go for the feet, something like so. The power level of the weapon is simply not all that hot. And you can mod it however you want. It's never gonna be a fantastic weapon under these stats. But it is a very interesting weapon nonetheless, as you can plainly see. There will be no Riven setup. Honestly, it's not worth it for this one. And I'm hoping that the Riven disposition for this one will be going up over the next couple of months, because it does need the additional power. For my humble 2 cents, I don't understand why this weapon needed to be gimped as much as it is. Perhaps there's something I'm missing. By all means, let me know in the comment section down below. I don't know everything. Nobody does, trust me. But I would have gave it a larger magazine capacity, more ammo reserve, a faster reload. I mean, there's no reason not to, honestly. Now, there's one more thing that we can do, bump up everything with Warframe buffs, and for that we can use Lady Mirage Prime. But in this case, let's try to go with crit. Yes? To go with crit, we're gonna have to use Lord Harrow, because he's gonna give us the crit we need on headshot. With corrosive projection, Arcane Avenger, because why the hell not? And Arcane Rage. Rage actually applies to primary weapons. We're gonna go with precision, which is basically the same idea as Rage, only for secondary weapons, 300% for 18 seconds. Yes, awesome. Alright, back to the weapon itself. Now, because right now I am getting that critical chance from Harrow, I gotta make room on the build for Prime Target Cracker. Pistol Gambit is still not worth it, at least from my point of view. I don't think it's worth it, so we're gonna go like so, and we're gonna go with Prime Target Crack. Now, we can actually, should we drop that? I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we drop Auger Pact? We could drop Auger Pact instead, couldn't we? Drop Auger Pact instead, and we're gonna go with the status chance and with Prime Target Cracker. We still maintain that 111% status chance on the weapon. Now, this is a secondary weapon, so the Sentinel trick does not apply, so bear that one in mind. We're gonna bump up the level to 150, as per the usual. Yes, we're gonna unpause the target so they can hit me, and I can get my buff from Avenger. Now, Harrow is an absolutely fantastic frame, especially since Heart of Deimos is in full swing, and you can actually buff up his survivability, because the problem with Harrow was the fact that, well, he didn't really survive all that well. A lot better since we got shield gating, but still, I would put a survivability ability on Harrow. Activate his 2 ability as well. It will grant you fire rate as well as reload speed. Now, the fire rate on this one isn't all that fantastic because you have that long reload, but have a look at this. Take a look at all that wonderful, wonderful damage. Absolutely fantastic. If you manage to get the correct crit, you can even one-shot a level 150 Corrupted Heavy Goon. 160,000 plus on that red crit. Absolutely beautiful. Now, can we be honest for a second? This is not one of the most powerful weapons in Warframe. It can't be. It's not gonna even be top 10 secondaries, but it's still a pretty nice weapon, and I would recommend it just for the novelty, the gimmick, if you will, the mastery points and all whatnot. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this is mastery fodder, but it's definitely not all that powerful. I honestly believe that they overdid it with the usability issues on it. I don't understand why they felt they had to, but they did. So, there you go. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And if you got any sorts of feedback for me, by all means, drop it in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section down below, if you want to suggest any particular type of content. For example, I want to see this and I don't want to see this, and all of that good stuff. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And if you love the content, hey, consider supporting us via Patreon. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.